Welcome to Keep What You Earn, your judgment and jargon-free zone for entrepreneurs of all levels. Get ready to learn how to scale your business, save money in taxes, and create a business that grows your wealth. If it feels like the financial side of business is like eating your vegetables, well, then think of this podcast as the ranch dressing to make the process a little more enjoyable. My name is Shannon Weinstein. I'm a CPA and business owner on a mission to simplify money and empower others through knowledge. I hope this episode inspires you to take action, but remember that the information we share is for educational purposes only and is not individual tax advice. Now that we got that out of the way, let's start the show. One thing that keeps coming up is everyone is feeling a little constrained around their cash, right? So a lot of the conversations that are being started are, hey, how can I infuse more cash into the business quickly? Now, of course, one way is to sell more, right? But if we could just flip a switch and say, okay, sell more, like we'd be doing that by now. So we want to look at how can we inject capital into the company in a realistic and feasible way while also not having it hurt us in the long run. So one of the ways is to get a small business loan. And we're talking about this with many clients and other business owners that I'm advising. And we're talking about how to do this the correct way. And a lot of folks that I'm talking to don't have a lot of experience with lenders. So I wanted to do an episode dedicated specifically to how to basically debate whether you need a loan or if you do want to get a loan, some tips on how to do that. So here's the thing. We've been taught that debt is bad, most of us. I mean, millennials like me, we always hear debt is bad, debt is bad. Well, probably because we were so traumatized by student loans and, mortgages and the craziness that happened in 2008. So we're like, uh-oh, debt is bad. No, debt is not bad. Just like I say, debt is a tool like a hammer. It depends who's holding it. It can build or it can destroy, right? It can build or it can kill. It depends who's holding it. So we look at debt as a way to gain funding for your business while also understanding that you have to pay it back. That's the part that people don't seem to remember. So we have to figure out how a loan would actually serve you. You want to think first about the purpose of the loan. So if you're a business owner and you want to inject cash into your business, so let's just assume that you've already done sort of a cash flow forecast. You've already figured out that, hey, I really need more cash in order to accomplish this next goal, right? This is the thing. I need you to understand that the loan should have a purpose. The loan should have a very specific purpose in your head other than give me cash. So when you're thinking about getting out a loan, I want you to understand why. So I'm going to give you an example of how I've done this because I have a line of credit open right now, transparently. And I think this is one of the smartest things I've done because I get this extra infusion of cash at a very low interest rate. And what happens is I get the cash up front, I pay it back over the next, let's say 6, 12, or 18 months. And what happens is I get this influx of cash, and the very specific purpose that I've designated for it is I wanted to have a cash injection so I had more runway so I could hire a team member that I want to pay a competitive salary to, right? So if I want to pay a competitive salary to somebody, I need to have enough runway to basically pay that salary for 3 to probably 6 months, really 6 months without getting any sort of benefit from that person. And that's not an insult to them. That is just the facts of that's how long it takes to train someone or get them into a rhythm, right? So I want to have 6 months of their salary as a boost because I really want to make sure that we don't have any strain on the business because we hired top talent. So that's one example of how you could leverage debt and you could actually bring in more money, more cash, knowing that it's a temporary solution until you can get the engine running on its own. It's kind of like a cable jump, right? It's a battery jumper in your car. We want to just jolt the battery and let it run. And then when it runs, once it's jolted, when it runs, it's charging the battery. So when you jolt and when you infuse cash into your business, it helps the business flush that cash around, spend it, reinvest it, and then make more money. So in turn, you're basically jolting your cash engine, and that's really not a bad thing. Now, if you're considering a loan for your business, you also want to make sure that you have the cash flow to make the payments. This is a really key piece, right? You want to make sure that you can actually afford to make the cash payments. You don't want to be getting loans out of desperation. You don't want to be getting loans because, hey, I need cash right now and I don't care what it's for. I just need cash. Now, I understand that some people may be in that position, but before you go get a loan, my advice is that you have to understand exactly what it's going to be for, how you're going to pay it back, and have that plan in place. Because if you're just getting a loan, again, to get cash to flush it through and to do the same thing you've been doing, you're going to burn through it like you got into this position in the first place. So you want to make sure that it is going to help you make more money, that it is going to help generate a cash flow for you, and that you have a plan on how you're going to pay this back. And you have to make sure that you can make more of a return on that money than the cost for you to borrow it. And what I mean by that is this loan should enable you to invest into your business and generate a rate of return back to you that far exceeds the interest you're paying on it, ideally. And with interest rates rising up, it's going to be increasingly harder to make this equation work. Okay. So let's say if I was paying a 4% interest rate, which, may be long gone by now, if I was paying a 4% interest rate on my loan, but I knew I could get a 10% return on the funds because of how I was investing it, then that's a win. But if I'm paying 18% interest, it's going to be damn hard to exceed the cost of that. So you have to make sure that you understand if you're going to be in a better position as a result of this loan by having a higher return, better position financially, I should say, or if you're going to have to take a cash flow hit in order to get this quick fix of cash. And this is also, by the way, the importance of cash flow forecasting, because if you have a solid cash flow forecast and you can anticipate these valleys of cash, when you can anticipate when your balance is going to be super low, then it won't be a shocker to you. You won't act out of emotion, and you'll know that it's going to rebound in a month or two, or you'll know that this is when I really need to hustle hard and sell, whatever that may be, so that you can recover. And if you have a really solid forecast, you also know that, hey, if I get an injection of cash now, I'm going to be in a great position in 3 months to start paying this off because I have a launch coming up. I have a new product coming out. I have a whatever. And if that's going to help you generate more cash in order to pay off the loan, cool. Then this can get you by for the next 3 months. And then you pay it down as soon as the money comes in. But you have to have relative certainty over what's going to happen in the future so that you're not just reacting to the immediate present of how you feel in your business financially. This is where most people stray from the course. They actually react with emotion based on what they see in their bank account today. And they don't realize that this is a temporary situation that will not be the case tomorrow, the next day, 3 months from now, or a year from now. You have to make sure you're really doing that forecast to understand where you are in the trajectory of your business. So you want to make sure that you're getting, here's the thing, in order to accomplish this, make sure the interest rate you're getting is competitive. Actually shop around. Now, here's the other problem with this, unfortunately. Once you apply for a loan, or once you put it out into the universe that you are looking to acquire a business loan, oh goodness, you're going to get so many emails, so many phone calls, so many things, so many letters and spam basically trying to offer you loans. But the good news is that instead of deleting all of it, just start kind of making a mental note of what they're offering in terms of interest rates, because it will give you some perspective on whatever you do choose and where it fits into the grand scheme and spectrum of different interest rates and terms available. So understand the payment terms, understand the payment amounts, understand the interest rate that you're going to be paying, and just make sure that it's competitive and that you're able to hopefully exceed it with the rate of return you get from that investment. And by the way, and this is just my opinion, I'm not a big fan of getting the loans that you see. You've probably seen these. I hate to name names, but I have to. It's like the PayPal, Stripe, Square. They have these loans in Shopify. They have these what they call loans. Basically, it's an advance. Okay, they call it a loan, but it's in advance. And what they're doing is giving you money up front and then taking a haircut off of your sales until you've paid it back and then some plus interest. Here's why I don't necessarily like these. And again, to each their own. This is my opinion. I don't necessarily like these because it takes the control away from you, the business owner, in terms of how and when you pay it back. So with a typical loan, let's say it's $20,000. You get $20,000 in the bank, and then here you're going to pay this amount every month on this day of the month, and it's great, right? And you can prepare for that, and you know that's coming. But let's say for one of these other loans, really it's an advance again, you're getting the $20,000 up front, and then they're going to take X percent of your sales until they're done, until they get their money back. And I don't particularly like it because now it's like, okay, I get reduced sales. You feel like you're being punished on every sale you make because you're not able to make the same amount. Yes, you can increase your prices a bit, but in integrity, I don't really believe that they should be doing that necessarily, unless you have a compelling reason to raise the prices. But I think that you want to make sure that you're in control of how and when you pay it off. I think anyone who's struggling with cash flow, this is probably not the solution because you're going to be getting that haircut off of every single transaction. You're not in control anymore, and you're going to end up paying a bunch of money to these companies, these credit card processors. Also, because they're only taking it off of credit card process transactions, if your clients are paying you through other means like cash, ACH, check, anything else, then you're going to have to just make sure that you know that the credit cards are going to take even more off to pay for that little loan, and that you're going to have all that money from the other payment systems, but it just can create some confusion over how much is being pulled in from real sales as well. So in your bookkeeping, it can create confusion because you've got whole dollars coming in on one side, and then you've got like much less coming in net from your credit card processors. And it's like, hey, what are these giant fees you're paying? And for your bookkeeper, it creates a lot of confusion. So again, not a huge fan, but it can work for you, especially if you're not disciplined about paying back your loans and you want someone else to take the reins on it. It may actually work for you. To sum things up, while getting a loan can help inject cash into your business and build your business's credit, it can also cause trouble if you don't have the assets to pay it back on time. Loans are never universally bad, but they can be risky for people who don't plan on how to use them in their business intentionally. And if you feel like a loan may not be the best option, then you can consider other sources of cash, and you can actually redirect your focus into sales initiatives to drive revenue and marketing. And you can also look into taking equity investing. Now, this is a lot more complicated and a lot more permanent in terms of relationships, but you can look into these other sources of capital other than debt if you need to. And just make sure that you understand everything that comes along with it, all of the terms and all of the commitments that you're expected to make in these different types of investments. So if you want more episodes on that topic, like taking equity investors or having a seed capital and things like that, venture capitalist firms, even selling your business, stay tuned because we've got more content about that coming your way very soon. Do you want to explore more about the topics discussed in today's episode? Or maybe you have specific questions on how to apply what you learned? If so, check out the Keep What You Earn community. Join other listeners, entrepreneurs, and experts, and get the support you need to get out of overwhelm and into action. Click on the link in the show notes to join now for free and start maximizing the value you get from each and every episode. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a rating and review on your podcast platform. This small action goes a long way for podcasters to get our message heard by more business owners just like you. Be sure to check out the show notes for links to information about our guests and ways to get in touch with me. We'll see you on the next episode.